Bach and Maria Barbara began their married life in Mulhausen, 20 miles north of Eisenach. Here, at the age of 22, Bach wrote his first cantatas, Aus der Tiefen and Actus Tragicus. But he complained about the lack of regular performances of church music on Sundays and found it difficult to work with the pastor, Adolf Fröner, who liked his church music simple and unadorned. After only a year, Bach left Mulhausen to become organist and chamber musician in the court orchestra of Duke Wilhelm Ernst of Weimar. The Duke was devoted to the arts, and the court exposed Bach to a far greater range of international music, particularly when, after a visit to Amsterdam in 1713, his musical son brought back a selection of scores by a composer whose style was to have a dramatic influence on the 28-year-old Bach, the music of Antonio Vivaldi.
What Vivaldi taught him was very important. He taught Bach how to begin a piece dramatically. That, in fact, one of the problems with the Vivaldi concerto is they begin very dramatically, but they don't really handle the music very well after that. But Bach, who had this wonderful feeling for continuity and synthesis, it's not until he knew Vivaldi that he knew how to begin a piece with a really dramatic, and above all with a very characteristic theme. And it's these extraordinary characteristic themes that we find later in Bach and the organ. Like that, which, I mean, is one beginning with a kind of dramatic flourish. He got that from Italian music.
With Bach, the Baroque in music came to fulfillment, and his complex interweaving of differing musical themes is the finest example of counterpoint in Western music.
Bach was basically a contrapuntal composer. The contrapuntal texture is, if you like, a tapestry made up of all sorts of different colored threads. And so each individual thread has its own beauty, its own independence, it has its own reason for being. But if you weave them all together, they make a wonderful, glorious whole, this tapestry of counterpoint.
He has changed the rules. He has found new areas. He has developed a fantastic way of structure. The chords, the harmonies are very rich. That's also something very important in Bach's music, is that if you take that choral number 1, for instance, so you have nearly one harmony every half bar. That's 7 harmonies with 12 notes. This is very rich.
At the court in Weimar, Bach composed organ fugues, chamber pieces, orchestral suites and cantatas. Music was written both for the chapel and for princely entertainment, with the same melodies and popular dance rhythms appearing in both courtly and devotional works.
I think the secular-sacred division in Bach's case can be over-exaggerated. As far as festive music is concerned, whether he is celebrating the Elector or the King's name day, or is praising God, it is done from with a very hierarchical social point of view, with him as the servant of either the Christian God or the secular Lord on earth. I don't by that mean that Bach invested a sort of religious aura to his worldly leader in any sense at all, but that ceremonial music was ceremonial music and was based on dance, pulse, and based on the capacity of the instruments that he had at his disposal to sound at their best, hence the use of D major as the natural trumpet key. And in Bach's day, natural trumpets were capable of scaling the heights in terms of the tessitura and the stratosphere. And of course, it's the key in which the strings resonate the most. So it has the most opulent sound to it of any key. And that applies to secular or sacred. It doesn't matter.
Bach stayed at Weimar for 9 years, but when he was denied the position of Kapellmeister, the musical director responsible for all court music, he sought a post elsewhere. Impatient to leave, he asked for release from his duties at Weimar in a manner so antagonistic that the Duke had him imprisoned for a month for too stubbornly forcing the issue of his own discharge.